Hi, this is Ben Ivey, the Fulfillment Artist, and in this video I'm going to talk about how trauma affects us, good and bad. Now first of all, what is a trauma? Well, a trauma is simply anything that's outside of our comfort zone. Anything that happens that we are not used to can be seen as a trauma. Right? When you're younger and no one has ever shouted at you before and a teacher just shouts at you and scolds you, like that is a trauma for a child. Right? You know, when I speak with business owners all around the world, the variety of traumas that people have are amazing. From worst case scenarios of people being raped, like people losing their loved ones and them dying, losing family, having a best friend steal their private jet. I mean, there are crazy stories, right? Now, all the way down to something as small as whether it's someone shouting at them, whether it's thinking that they're being blamed for something when they're younger, someone stealing something small from them. I mean, there's so many different types of trauma, but in essence, a trauma is something that's outside of our comfort zone. Now, when we think about trauma, the reason why I say we can look at it good and bad is because I want you to imagine that when a trauma happens, it expands you, right? It's something that you're not used to, and whether you're aware of it or not, like it's expanding that awareness of what can happen in life. Now, ultimately, it creates a well, okay? And I want you to imagine that everyone in this world has their own well of trauma. And it doesn't matter if someone's had a so-called worse trauma or whatever it is, because the fact is trauma is relative to the person, right? So everyone has a well. Now, for a lot of people in life, when they've experienced trauma, what happens is they fill that well with hate and anger. And that is where you have a lot of these people that are currently doing like horrendous things in the world, do it because they've experienced that well. They've had trauma attached to it, right? They've been traumatized, and the only way they know how to deal with it is by using that anger and using that hate to then create trauma for other people. And it's not that they're a bad person, right? There's no people that are bad people. What happens is things happen to them and it conditions us, and then we create and develop behaviors that are hateful because of the traumas we've experienced. Right? And one of the best things that I've learned, which helps me empathize with people, is that you would be the exact same person as that person if you had lived their life. Right? All the traumas they'd experienced, the way they've grown up. And some people say, well, no, I'd be different. But the truth is, the only reason you're different is because you've had different experiences and your mind has opened up in different ways. Right? And your genes and everything about you, right? It's just a lucky pop that you come out here and then, this is what you've got. And you've got to deal with it and move forward. So ultimately, for a lot of people, they fill this well with hate. Now, the other option is that you fill it with love, because you have a deeper understanding for people and you can empathize with them on a different level. And because you've gone to those darker places, you not only can you empathize, but you can help people out. And you can use that and actually help people through whatever traumas they're facing in their lives. Now, ultimately, if you're experiencing different traumas at the moment, one of the best things you can think about is, what could this mean? Right? Is this the worst thing that can happen? Because, ultimately in life, everything is the meaning that we give it. If everything in the world happens for me, is this happening for me right now? And something that I want to share just to finish off is a story. So the story is the following. There's an old farmer and he's working on his field, and he has this young son who's looking after him, right? And they're working really hard, and then one day it pours and rains and their field gets completely flooded. It's flooded, this field. And the villagers go over to the man and they're like, oh my God, this is terrible. I can't believe, your fields are flooded. How are you going to support yourselves? How are you going to feed your son? Like, what are you going to do? This is the worst thing that could possibly happen to you. And the old farmer sits back and goes, maybe. And then the next day, a very strange thing happened. A horse wandered in to their land, a wild horse. And this wild horse is worth a ton of money. They're going to be the richest people in their little village. They can't believe it. What luck! That's the most amazing thing that could have possibly happened, the villager said to the old man. And the old man says, Maybe. And as the week goes on and they're feeling amazing, the horse runs away. And the villagers come back and say, this is horrendous. I'm so sorry for what happened. This is absolutely awful. The man turns to them and goes, maybe. And then 2 weeks later, the horse came back. The horse came back with 2 other horses. This man is now the richest person in the whole multiples of villages that they have around there. How lucky is he? All the villagers come up to congratulate him. This is amazing. You are such a lucky man. And he goes back and he says, maybe. And then his son the next day gets on the horses. Gets on one of the wild horses, starts riding them out. And his dad is like, wow, this is amazing. Right? And then he falls off and breaks his leg. And all the villagers come up to him and say, this is awful. I'm so sorry what's happened. You're going to have to farm everything yourself. How are you going to support yourself? I mean, this is a tragedy. This is an awful trauma bestowed upon your family. This is terrible. The farmer leans back and goes, maybe. And the next day, they had military recruits that came along and took all the young men to go to war. And the young boy was the only person that couldn't go because he had a broken leg. People come up to him and they were like, wow, the luck that you have is amazing. And the old farmer leans back and says, maybe. And that's the end of the story. And you can take from that whatever you like. And for those of you thinking, what the hell does this mean? Think about in your life. Where are the maybe moments? Is it a trauma? Maybe. You've lost a job. Is it the worst thing that could have possibly happened? Maybe. You've lost a business partner. They screwed you over. Is it the worst thing that could happen? Maybe. Could have been worse. And I want you to use that story when you're feeling down, because as soon as you start to question your thoughts and question things, it's going to allow you to move forward in a very different way. Ultimately, if you can start to be grateful for some of the worst things that have happened, then you're going to be able to shine like no one has shined before. Because it's when you turn those worst things into the best things for you, then your life can start to change. So with that said, I hope you've had a wonderful week. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to speaking to you very soon.